In April 2016, the world witnessed the largest data leak in journalistic history. 11.5 million documents from a Panamanian law firm exposed a secret global network that allowed the world's most powerful people to hide their wealth, evade sanctions, and escape the laws that govern ordinary citizens. This wasn't just another financial scandal. This was proof of a parallel universe where the ultra-wealthy play by different rules, a shadow economy worth trillions of dollars that operates in plain sight, yet remains invisible to those who fund it through their taxes. Today, we're going unsealed on the Panama Papers investigation that shook governments, toppled leaders, and revealed the true cost of global inequality. Hit that notification bell right now, because what you're about to discover will change how you see wealth and power forever. It began with a simple message on a winter evening in 2015. German journalist Bastian Obermeier was working from his parents' house when his encrypted communications lit up with an unexpected contact. "Hello, this is John Doe. Interested in data?" The anonymous message read. Investigative journalists live for moments like this. Secret data often means hidden truth. But what came next would dwarf every previous leak in history. "We're very interested, of course," Obermeier replied immediately. The source, who would maintain complete anonymity throughout the entire investigation, had gained access to the internal servers of Mossack Fonseca, a Panamanian law firm specializing in creating offshore shell companies. What started as a few sample documents would eventually become 2.6 terabytes of data, larger than the WikiLeaks cables, the Snowden files, and every previous leak combined. But this anonymous whistleblower wasn't motivated by money or fame. When asked about their motivation, John Doe explained, "I want you to report on the material and to make these crimes public." This story could rival the Snowden documents in importance. As the investigation progressed, the source's fears became evident. "My life is in danger if my identity is revealed," they wrote. "I've spent the past several weeks considering how to handle this." The first shocking revelation emerged from the sample documents. A mysterious German named Hans-Joachim K., with $500 million in gold, sitting in a Bahamas account. This wasn't just any German. He was a former Siemens executive who had managed secret slush funds across Latin America. But the real bombshell came when the journalists investigated the law firm's founder. Jürgen Mossack, the German-born mastermind behind this global network, had been hiding in plain sight. Born in Bavaria in 1948, Mossack's story reads like a Cold War thriller. His father, Erhard Mossack, wasn't just a German who fled to Panama. He was a former Waffen-SS officer who later became a CIA informant. The blood group tattoo marking his SS membership had been removed, leaving only a scar as evidence of his Nazi past. By 1961, the family had emigrated to Panama, where young Jürgen would eventually build a business empire that served some of the world's most dangerous criminals. The son of a Nazi-turned-CIA asset had created the perfect vehicle for hiding dirty money. Among the most explosive discoveries was a trail leading directly to Vladimir Putin's inner circle. At its center was Sergei Roldugin, a cellist described as Putin's best friend and godfather to the Russian president's eldest daughter. According to official statements, Roldugin was just a musician who claimed he wasn't a businessman and doesn't have millions. But the Panama Papers revealed a different story. Roldugin's offshore companies had moved more than $2 billion through a complex network of deals involving major Russian corporations. The documents showed suspicious loan agreements, backdated contracts, and mysterious transfers that suggested Roldugin was acting as a frontman for someone far more powerful. Western intelligence experts have long suspected that Putin, whose official salary was just $119,000, secretly controls billions through trusted intermediaries. When Roldugin applied for a Swiss bank account in 2014, he was asked directly, "Is the owner of the company a politically exposed person or a VIP?" His answer was a blatant lie. No. The best friend of the Russian president, godfather to his daughter, denied any relationship with political figures. The Panama Papers exposed how Mossack Fonseca had become the go-to service provider for the world's most brutal regimes. The firm's client list read like a who's who of international criminals and sanctioned individuals. Syria's war machine. The documents revealed extensive business relationships with Rami Makhlouf, the financial architect of Bashar al-Assad's regime. Makhlouf, sanctioned by both the US and EU for financing Syria's civil war, used Mossack Fonseca companies to move hundreds of millions of dollars. When Mossack Fonseca's own compliance department flagged Makhlouf as a sanctioned individual, the firm's Swiss partner, Christoph Zollinger, dismissed their concerns, writing that they could keep the Makhloufs as clients because HSBC in London obviously doesn't have an issue with them. Africa's looters. The files contained companies linked to associates of Robert Mugabe, including arms dealer John Arnold Bredenkamp and businessman Mullah Conrad Rautenbach. Both men were subject to international sanctions for their roles in propping up Zimbabwe's dictatorship. The Makhlouf dynasty. Multiple members of Assad's extended family appeared in the documents, including his cousins who ran Syria's intelligence services and were directly involved in the regime's torture facilities and chemical weapons attacks. The firm even maintained business relationships with these criminals long after they were sanctioned, demonstrating a complete disregard for international law. When FIFA officials were arrested in Zurich in 2015, the Panama Papers revealed the offshore infrastructure that enabled decades of corruption in world football. The documents exposed how Argentine sports marketing agents Hugo and Mariano Ginkis used their shell company Cross Trading SA to secure broadcasting rights through systematic bribery. But the revelations went beyond FIFA. They implicated UEFA in similar corrupt dealings. Cross Trading had secured exclusive Ecuadorian TV rights to the Champions League and UEFA Cup for suspiciously low fees. The company paid UEFA just $111,000 for Champions League rights, then sold them to Ecuadorian broadcaster Teleamazonas for $311,170, nearly 3 times the price. When confronted, UEFA officials denied any business relationship with the Ginkis family, despite contracts clearly showing Hugo Ginkis's name and signature. The Panama Papers proved that corruption in football extended far beyond FIFA's headquarters. Perhaps most disturbing was the revelation that offshore secrecy had become standard practice among the global elite. The files contained more than 50 billionaires from the Forbes rich list, along with heads of state, celebrities, and business leaders from every continent. French economist Gabriel Zucman estimates that 8% of global wealth, approximately $5.9 trillion, sits in tax havens, with taxes avoided on roughly 3/4 of this money. As billionaire Leona Helmsley once said with genuine pride, "Only the little people pay taxes." The documents showed how this system works in practice. Wealthy families use networks of shell companies to hide assets from tax authorities, ex-spouses, creditors, and legal judgments. They've essentially bought themselves out of the social contract that binds everyone else. The law firm at the center of this global network wasn't just providing legal services. It was operating an industrial-scale money laundering operation disguised as legitimate business. With almost 50 offices in over 30 countries and 588 employees worldwide, Mossack Fonseca generated $42.6 million in annual revenue by 2013. But the firm's true scope was hidden behind a complex web of over 200 subsidiary companies, each designed to provide legal cover when investigations began. The nominee director system. At the heart of the operation were professional frontmen like Leticia Montoya, who served as the nominal director of over 25,000 companies. Despite generating hundreds of thousands in fees for the firm, Montoya earned just $400 per month and lived in poverty outside Panama City. Anonymous email networks. The firm provided clients with untraceable email accounts using codenames like Harry Potter, Winnie the Pooh, and Father. These allowed direct communication between Mossack Fonseca and the true owners of shell companies while maintaining plausible deniability. The blank signature system. Nominee directors routinely signed stacks of blank documents that could later be used for any purpose: purchase agreements, power of attorney transfers, or company closures. This system allowed transactions to be completed instantly without leaving traceable communications. One of the most detailed cases involved the systematic looting of Siemens slush funds by company executives, including Hans-Joachim K. and his associates. The documents showed how millions of euros meant for business development in Latin America were diverted into personal accounts. The executives used Mossack Fonseca to create companies like Gillard Management, which operated with extraordinary secrecy, using Anonymous for creating anonymous shell companies that allowed the world's elite to disappear their money from public view. The story of Mossack Fonseca begins with a shocking family secret. Jürgen Mossack, the German-born founder, was the son of Erhard Mossack, a former Waffen-SS officer who later became a CIA informant. According to FBI files, Erhard Mossack joined the Hitler Youth at 15 and the Waffen-SS at 18, fighting in Czechoslovakia, Finland, and Norway. After the war, he was arrested by Allied forces, who described him as indoctrinated through and through with Nazi ideology. But in a Cold War twist, Erhard Mossack switched sides. He became an asset for U.S. intelligence services, which facilitated his family's migration to Panama in 1961. His son Jürgen would grow up to build a business empire that served some of the world's most dangerous criminals. Among the most explosive revelations was a complex network centered around Sergei Roldugin, described as Vladimir Putin's best friend and godfather to the Russian president's eldest daughter. Officially, Roldugin was just a cellist who claimed he wasn't a businessman and doesn't have millions. But the Panama Papers revealed that companies controlled by Roldugin had moved more than $2 billion through suspicious transactions involving major Russian corporations. The documents showed backdated contracts, mysterious loans that would never be repaid, and transfers that defied logical business explanation. When applying for a Swiss bank account, Roldugin was asked directly if he had any relationship with politically exposed persons. His answer was a blatant lie. No. Western intelligence experts have long suspected that Putin, whose official salary was just $119,000, secretly controls billions through trusted intermediaries like Roldugin. The Panama Papers exposed how Mossack Fonseca had become the service provider of choice for the world's most brutal regimes. The firm's client list included Syria's war machine, Rami Makhlouf, Assad's cousin and the regime's chief financier, used multiple Mossack Fonseca companies despite being on international sanctions lists. When the firm's compliance department raised concerns about Makhlouf's sanction status, Swiss partner Christoph Zollinger dismissed their warnings, noting that HSBC in London obviously doesn't have an issue with them. The Makhlouf network. The documents revealed an entire family enterprise funding Syria's civil war. Hafez Makhlouf, who ran torture facilities in Damascus and was allegedly involved in chemical weapons attacks, owned shell companies through the same network. African despots. The files contained companies linked to associates of Robert Mugabe, including arms dealer John Arnold Bredenkamp, who was sanctioned for his close links to the Zimbabwean government. When confronted about serving sanctioned individuals, Mossack Fonseca claimed it did not know these clients were sanctioned, despite having extensive files documenting their identities. When FIFA officials were arrested in 2015, the Panama Papers revealed the offshore machinery that enabled decades of soccer corruption. The documents exposed how Argentine agents Hugo and Mariano Ginkis used their shell company Cross-Trading SA to systematically bribe officials for broadcasting rights. But the corruption extended beyond FIFA. It reached into UEFA itself. Cross-Trading had secured exclusive Ecuadorian TV rights to the Champions League for just $111,000, then sold them to broadcaster Teleamazonas for $311,170, nearly 3 times the price. Similar deals generated hundreds of thousands in suspicious profits. When confronted, UEFA denied any business relationship with the Ginkis family, despite contracts clearly showing Hugo Ginkis' name and signature. The Panama Papers proved that football corruption went far beyond FIFA's headquarters. The files revealed how the ultra-wealthy use shell companies to hide stolen art and evade restitution claims. The case of a Modigliani painting called Seated Man with a Cane exemplified this system. The painting was stolen by Nazis from Jewish art dealer Oskar Stettiner during World War II. When it resurfaced at auction in 1996, it was purchased by International Art Center SA, a Panama-based shell company. For years, the Nahmad art dealing family exhibited the painting while denying ownership. When Stettiner's heir sued for restitution, the Nahmads claimed the painting belonged solely to International Art Center. But the Panama Papers revealed the truth. International Art Center was controlled by David Nahmad himself. The shell company structure allowed the family to profit from stolen art while avoiding legal responsibility. Mossack Fonseca wasn't just providing legal services. It was operating an industrial-scale money laundering operation disguised as legitimate business. The anonymous email network. The firm provided clients with untraceable email accounts using code names like Harry Potter, Winnie the Pooh, and Father. Internal emails showed advisors addressing clients by these fake names: Dear Harry, Hi Son, Hello Father. The nominee director factory. At the heart of the operation were professional front people like Leticia Montoya, who served as the nominal director of over 25,000 companies. Despite generating hundreds of thousands in fees for the firm, Montoya earned just $400 per month and lived in poverty outside Panama City. The blank signature system. Nominee directors routinely signed stacks of blank documents that could later be used for any purpose: purchase agreements, power of attorney transfers, or company closures. This allowed transactions to be completed instantly, without traceable communications. One of the most detailed cases involved the systematic looting of Siemens corporate funds by executives including Hans-Joachim K. and his associates. The executives used Mossack Fonseca to create companies like Gillard Management, operating with extraordinary secrecy, using anonymous email accounts with code names like Azkaban and Bruni. They moved millions from Siemens slush funds into personal accounts, claiming the money was life savings and inheritances. Even after supposedly returning the money to Siemens, the executives continued extracting funds. Hans-Joachim K. transferred $2 million to a numbered Swiss account, claiming he had no idea what the money was for. Perhaps most disturbing was the revelation that offshore secrecy had become standard practice among the global elite. The files contained more than 50 billionaires from the Forbes rich list, along with heads of state, celebrities, and business leaders from every continent. French economist Gabriel Zucman estimates that 8% of global wealth, approximately 5.9 trillion, sits in tax havens, with taxes avoided on roughly 3/4 of this money. As billionaire Leona Helmsley once said, "Only the little people pay taxes." The Panama Papers revealed the true cost of this shadow financial system. While ordinary citizens fund public services through their taxes, the ultra-wealthy have bought themselves out of the social contract that binds everyone else. This isn't just about tax avoidance. It's about a parallel universe where the powerful play by different rules. Shell companies help dictators loot their countries, criminals launder money, and the wealthy avoid legal judgments. The system that was supposed to serve legitimate business purposes had become a threat to democracy itself. The publication of the Panama Papers in April 2016 sent shockwaves around the world. Iceland's prime minister resigned within days. Governments launched investigations. Banks paid massive fines. The spotlight finally shone on a system that had operated in darkness for decades. But the most important revelation wasn't any single scandal. It was proof that a shadow financial system exists parallel to the one governing ordinary citizens. While we debate tax rates and government spending, the ultra-wealthy have simply opted out of the entire system. This is unsealed. Proof, not paranoia. The documents are declassified. The evidence is overwhelming. The government and corporate records confirm every detail. The Panama Papers exposed how the world's elite use shell companies to hide wealth, avoid taxes, and escape the laws that govern everyone else. They revealed a shadow financial system worth trillions of dollars that operates in plain sight, yet remains invisible to those who fund it. Now you know the truth about how the powerful hide their money and why your taxes keep going up while theirs disappear offshore. What will you do with this knowledge?